Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com. Welcome to From the Eyes of Wisdom, where we pair an experienced elder from Christa Senior Living with a passionate King's High School student ready to launch into the world. Here's Sherry Lynn.
Thank you for joining us on From the Eyes of Wisdom. I am Sherry Lynn and really happy to have in the studio with us Olivia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Michael is here.
Glad to be here, Sherry.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so we'll start off with Olivia. Olivia, you are a senior.
Yes.
And you are going to, if I remember, Grand Canyon?
Correct.
Grand Canyon
Yes.
University in Arizona.
Yes.
Okay, can I ask you how you decided on that?
Yeah, I really wanted to not stray away from like the King's community feel of
Okay.
kind of like that smaller community. Even though GCU is a big school, it still feels small. Like you
Okay.
kind of know people that are going there.
And King's is a Christian college.
Correct.
And Grand Canyon is
also a Christian college. They're both private Christian universities. And because I've been at King's my whole life, I really didn't want to make so big of a jump to a different kind of school.
Okay.
And so picking a school that kind of shared the same connections with King's is, I think, really going to help me make that transition easier, especially going to a new state.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of my biggest reasons for going to GCU.
Okay, and you are going from the state of Washington
Yes.
to the state of Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big jump.
Yep.
Do you have family in Arizona?
I do not.
You do not. So how are you feeling about that move?
I think I've prayed about it a lot, and I knew that it was the right place for me because just GCU has the kind of qualities in a school that I was looking for, and I have some friends going down there with me as well.
Okay, good.
And I was just, everything kind of fell into place, and I didn't really have to go searching for roommates or go searching for a certain career path. It kind of just fell into place, and I think that was kind of like an answer to prayer that it just...
It all kind of lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It lined up, and yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, yeah, good. So you are studying, tell me again, speech?
I'm studying communications in
Communications.
sciences and disorders.
Okay,
Yes.
and your goal is to be...
A speech pathologist.
Okay, but someone told me you also love music.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
May I ask why you decided not to major in music and drama and performance arts, which I understand you love?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I wanted to expand my career choice into speech pathology because as much as I love performing and singing, I know I can still do that as a hobby.
Right.
And I also really enjoy like teaching kids and being in that kind of one-on-one, like helping kids grow.
Yeah.
And so I think doing a career that wasn't related to music and performing kind of gave me the best of both worlds.
Okay.
And I was able to do performing on the side and then also do a different career. Whereas if I just went with music as a career, then I wouldn't really have that extra side part of like working with kids in a speech pathology thing.
Got it, yeah.
So if I did that as a career, I can kind of do both.
Well,
you know?
let me tell you, as a performer, you made the right financial decision. Okay.
that was a thought in my head as well.
It should have been a thought in your head, and your bank account will thank you. I will tell you that the checks will come much sooner with the decision that you have made. Mike, I'm sure you can tell her that also is the truth.
I totally agree. And the pathology, the new tools that their technology is introducing is allowing kids with cerebral palsy that may not even be able to say one word, and they can't move their arms to do things with a computer, yet their eyes can interact and speak for them. I'm so excited about them being able to tell their story when right now maybe they're cut off in some places.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's exciting. The whole thing is exciting, and the cross section of what you'll be able to do with communication and maybe even performing is really exciting. So, Mike, I know you have a background in music.
Yes.
And when you went to college, that is what you were pursuing, though.
And
right?
a lot
Is
of
that
times
correct?
it treat off into teaching as well. So
Okay.
I do have an all-level teaching certificate for music, and just love everything about it. And church is really where I got my start for that. They put you up at a young age sometimes, and
Yes,
that probably
they
happened
do.
to
It
both
did.
of you.
Yes,
and
yeah.
suddenly you were out there by yourself singing, or with maybe a couple. And
Was your family musical?
Oh, a couple of them were.
Okay.
And my dad would say no, but he had one of the most beautiful voices I ever heard. He just wasn't trained, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so all these rewards will come back, I think, to add up later to a wonderful career path. And I applaud the school you chose, too, by the way. You're very grounding. I can tell you're going to be a freshman, not wandering like a deer in the headlights freshman. You know some of where you're going to go, and God will guide the rest.
When you were a senior in high school, you're going into college, were you going specifically for music, were you going to teach and music? Do you remember what your thought process was?
My backup was also BME, or Bachelor of Music Education.
Okay.
So that I could actually eat. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I wanted some foundation too, but also God really allowed me to meet all kinds of people in doing that, don't you, when you do music? And it also speaks a language when you get into worship that crosses into even the best speech pathologist needs music to kind of just melt into worship in a whole way that I don't know that I have words for, but I know it when I'm feeling that worship and love for our Lord when you're singing.
What is it about music, guys, that it's hard to describe? And every season that we've had this podcast, we typically do have a pairing of people who love music, a young person and an older person who are musicians or singers. What is it about music that is so uniting? It's hard to put into words. It's last season I was talking about when I was a little older than you, Olivia. I joined a touring gospel choir.
Oh.
And we're still friends. I'm not going to say how old I am now, everyone, so please do not write the podcast asking, well, how old are you now? But I'm a lot older than I was then. And we just recently had our reunion. And music unites your heart in a way with people. That's why I'm glad you're continuing. And Mike, I'd be interested in what you would tell her about keeping that music alive in you.
It makes us so much like family with each other. And I enjoy the little bitty guys singing sometimes. I saw my great-granddaughter was teaching me sign language, and that won't communicate too well here, but when she did the sign for Jesus, and she said, loves me, this I know, in sign language, and she can't speak yet, but she was trying to sing a song to me. I just thought, you never get tired of it, and I don't know if it's left brain, right brain scientifically, but if you've sung with someone and you've been close with them, they're a different kind of family. And it's a unifying force that I think has love in it that I can't explain, but you just naturally care for each other. Not that anyone's perfect in the groups that you've been singing with, but once you've harmonized with them, there's something in the kingdom that happens that's magic. And I believe God wanted us to enjoy that. The song and the songbird's heart, they don't have to be taught by the staff and by the music education degree. They just want to sing. And when you find somebody else that's like that and you join forces, you never forget it. That's why time didn't really separate you guys when you had a reunion. And I'm the same way. I just went to a 50th gala that honored my wife and I. We sang 50 years ago in Indianapolis. And not to bore you with all the details, but that's how we met. And she wasn't too sure about the leading man, that would be me, in the show. When we first, there's a little skepticism because it's full of pride. There's landmines everywhere in every career. And so, but 5 years later when we got married and we're working on 50 years, I'm so happy that brought us together. And that I didn't quit because I had to quit singing. I actually quit because I realized I wouldn't be good for my kids to drag them around to all the places I would be asked to go quickly.
Oh, you were touring.
And so, I would be gone 13 weeks in a row, and that's when I came home and said to my wife, I didn't feel disgusted or like I was sad. I said, I'm going to stop this, and I'm going into a different career. And this is what God may open up, different avenues that we didn't expect. But it was so wonderful to then be in a church. And then we got in the choir of that church, and we noticed our boys weren't behaving very well, so we had to sit out there in the middle of them. So we once again stepped down from music, but I wouldn't trade this journey for anything because God will just open new doors.
Yeah, he absolutely will. Can you talk about transition? Olivia's about to transition from Washington to Arizona. It's a big jump. Can you talk about that kind of feeling of, okay, I'm in a new place, new people, mom and dad's not here, family's not here. I talk about in college, my biggest shock was like no clean clothes. Who's washing the clothes around it?
Mom always did that.
I had no idea my mom watched clothes. When I got to know, I was like, "What? I'm supposed to? With what? What is the mechanism that does this?" So, what can you talk to her about navigating? I'm sure throughout your life, be it from college, you and your wife transitioning from different jobs, whatever it is. Wisdom of navigating a transition.
When you feel, especially in a new place, like you're weak, just remember, he says, when you're weak, I'm strong. He's your daily friend. Cast all your cares. Ask him anything, he says. These are all Jesus' words. I just love that. That's rock solid. And when you're more dependent on him, it's a good thing. Doesn't feel comfortable. You're out of a comfort zone when you go. I'd say here, if you go there, you probably don't need your wool sweaters quite as much in the middle of summer. You'll figure that one out. That'll be the easy part. But the fact you've done music has been fortifying in ways you probably wouldn't necessarily think. A lot of people think, well, it's easy to get up and sing. The real truth is, as you both know, you stand there for sometimes long hours. There's lots of rehearsal. There's lots of things you do. That has equipped you more than you could ever know to be flexible, to be able to work within a team and different requirements with a group, to downplay yourself and let the other one be the star. You have learned so many life skills that make you able to transition, because your problem solving is very creative, and we all need that flexibility when you do that. Those that have been in one lane and not experienced music, they might not see this the same way, but just know that you're stronger inside. You've picked a good school. You'll be around some like-minded folks and others that might be struggling, and don't be too hard on yourself in this sense. When you're 18, you don't have to have all the answers of your life path. Some of my classmates at 18 knew exactly where they were headed, it seemed, and I rather envied them, I think, because it seemed so clear to them, and it was so murky to me. But he will connect the dots between what different experiences you've had and suddenly tie them together as only he can do. And I'm just saying, you're going to actually rise to the occasion like you do with a brand new piece of music that you've never heard before, and he's going to put it into your heart and then use you like a light for your classmates. Natural leadership. But it's more like David. God raised David as a shepherd boy because he needed a king, and you come from kings. When you go down there, he's going to help you. You may not have to kill a lion and a bear like he did, but you'll have certainly things to face. I'm just saying, just keep relying on him every day and say, show me the way, teach me. Jesus said, learn of me. That's the beauty of that. Peter says it's going to go on all the way until we let go of this tent that we're living in now. I love that because he's my friend just as surely as in the new transitions of my life now as he is with you too. And then it just gives you a bit of courage. And as you conquer these, you conquered kings. As you go there and you conquer college, I think you'll see he's building sometimes we call it tempting, like I'd say a trial, a test. But sometimes he wants to make you stronger. And so that's what's going to happen when you go down there, and especially when you start to sing, and you'll hear some wonderful singers down there, and you're going to enjoy music even more. It doesn't have to be out of your life. There's a Chriswood choir I'm still singing in. Whoops. But anyway, I don't.
Yeah, no, you are. There's been several people who have come here who are in that choir as well. Is Alan one of them? No, not Alan. There's several names
Yes.
that I know of that have come
That are
here.
there.
They're still singing.
The director, Wayne McGuire, is a very
Wayne,
humble
that's
leader.
what it is.
And he's
That's
so
Wayne.
sweet. And we're
Yes.
singing nothing but psalms.
Yes.
And it's just so, the words are
That's
from the
it.
Bible. So
Wayne.
it's so
Wayne is the one who
good.
said, "Bring the voice God has given you now. Bring the voice you have now." And that touched me so much. God wants the voice you have now. Yes, I love that. Anyway, something you said was so wonderful, Olivia. I want to make sure you got this in all the wonderful nuggets Mike gave there is, that's so good. I never thought of that, is that everything that music has built into you now. No one told me that. So I want to make sure you get that.
Yeah.
Is the performing, the all of that. I did that since I was a kid just because it's what my family did. So I just did it.
Yeah.
But it does build a toolbox in you
it does.
that you don't know.
Yeah.
A strength.
And you may be solving a problem. Here's where God connects the dots. You may be in speech pathology helping someone, but you may have he may give you 5 more creative options that came out of your always being under a bit of pressure. Isn't it pressured
Yes.
when you get up and sing in front of your peers? And you conquered that, and you've probably slayed more Goliaths than you know, Olivia. And I just hope you do it with joy, because that's what he does too. And when I used to think sometimes in my pride, well, I did a good job that day technically, or the high notes, as you said, soaring in your family. But maybe that's not what he wanted. He wanted that one special moment, maybe of vulnerability, where you learned at your grandmother's funeral that you couldn't cry and sing at the same time. Maybe he needed that little bit of that brokenness in your voice, because somebody out there, then they get the message that he wants them to have from him. And it's always, when we bear fruit, that's so crazy that it's through us, but it's not so we eat the fruit. It's from him, and it's always for others.
This is going to be a little uncomfortable, and I'm going to do it just because the wisdom is here and I want it transferred. Just because it's college and she's human and it's just going to happen. She's going to screw up. Just a big mess up. That she's probably, why did I do that? That was so stupid. Not sure I can tell my mom. Not sure I can tell my dad. Shame tell my friends. Why? I'm sure you've had it.
Yes, absolutely.
In life,
Yes.
where it's not anybody's fault but mine. You know what I mean? This is not anything other than just a real dumb, stubborn, rebellious decision. We've all had them, right? Now what? What wisdom would you give her when you have been in that position when your journey with God?
I so love that he uses these moments to maybe teach us so many lessons. Peter, in 3 years, didn't get it right all the time in Scripture. I know you know. But I admire him for getting out of the boat and trying to walk toward Jesus on the water. And I admire him for trying. When he got it right and he said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God," Jesus just said, "Wow, flesh and blood hasn't told you that one." But other times when he got it so wrong, "You'll never die. We'll defend you, Lord." And he's saying, "Get thee behind me." So you're going to have those very recorded in the Scripture for a purpose moments that he will then say, well, I'll tell you, funny example, I said, "Lord, I'll go sing for you, or I'll teach for you, or I'll do what you want." And I quietly heard him, kind of not an audible voice, I heard him say, "None of the above." And he took me to whole new places I never expected, where I had to rely on him totally so that he could teach me. I was more teachable in those zones than when I thought I had my bow tie on straight and I was singing correctly at the Metropolitan Opera.
Yeah.
That's not what he needed from me. He wanted my heart, not my technique of vocal skills and high notes and all the things you try to do. He wasn't working. Does he ask us to be perfect? He asks us to follow him. "My sheep know my voice and they follow me." We're not driven to success. Oh, mercy. We're following him. Yeah. Driven is what cows are, by the way. I'm from Texas, you might notice, but the cattle drives are not very very pretty. They make the animals, they drive them on ahead. Jesus, exactly. You want to follow me? Do you want to go to the school down there and keep following me? I hear Olivia wanting to do that. And then then that's something I can work with. And you'll know his voice. And it's always different. Some people might be in pictures. Maybe others hear differently from the Lord. Sometimes in songs. I bet both of you wake up with a certain song, don't you? Yeah. Now, and he's talking to you, sisters. Yeah. And I just love that he never stops trying to help us in our journey so that we can help others. It's, again, we're bearing fruit. Because somebody out there's hurting, even if it's just a smile or that song that they go, wow, that was the song I needed. Wow. And it probably wasn't because of your high notes or your low notes or what you did. It's something that came through that sound from him into their heart. And suddenly they said, yeah, I want more of that.
I love that. Olivia, what if I asked you what your biggest fear is? Doesn't have to be about college, can be, but just overall, what's your biggest fear?
I mean, it is about college because that's all I'm thinking about right now. But I think definitely what's been on my mind is, again, like being at King's for so long. I have all these connections I've made from since like kindergarten.
Right.
And then just having to like leave that behind, not fully, but just like not have these physical interactions with all my friends here and then move to college and then just like kind of be like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
You know, just like day one, welcome week, just kind of like picturing all the freshmen out on the front lawn, just kind of mingling. It's just like leaving these current connections that I have that I built for so long, especially through music. I've been singing with all my friends since like elementary school, and then having to kind of almost start over and make new friendships. I know it'll work out in the end, but just those first few weeks of college, having to just like go out there and be bold and make those new connections, get integrated into new choirs in a new theater, you know, and kind of like I've built such strong relationships with my drama teacher and my friends in drama, and you've kind of worked your way up the ladder through high school from freshman year to senior year. You know, there's a little bit of seniority. You kind of know what you're doing, you know, and then to walk into a new theater space and just have no idea where backstage is, you know, and just kind of have to learn the ropes all over again. It's something that I haven't had to do before. You know?
You know, this foundation you've worked hard to build, and the trust relationships between teachers and your, peers, and But what I love is that when you're there, if you take just a second and you let that teacher know something triggered that reminded, and you step from college with a little note to someone, or when you have a break, you call somebody, you will never know what encouragement that will bring, because they kind of think you're going to go off to the new world and never look backwards. And actually, you never, like was just said about the reunion of the singers, like time hadn't even happened. You will not lose those friends that you built here, especially around the faith, because you can keep in touch, not all the time because you're going to be busy, but it's not like you're throwing away. You will not lose anything. It'll all still be there. And what I love is the people that you're going in with, say, freshmen will all be in the same boat, and they'll all be nervous and watching each other like we all do, don't we? And especially when you're sensitive to how people react to you, you feel like once again you're performing a little bit. And if you just can say to yourself, well, when there was a time when I was a freshman at King's and I figured it out, and he's going to show me. But I'll have to admit, I did these funny little practices, go backstage and look around and wander a little bit, step to the front and the center just to practice, because sometime you'll probably be asked to do that. And all I mean is you're just asking the Lord, show me, get me ready, because he's a God of preparation. Peter, he needed him to be strong even though he failed. We were talking about failing. And when he's going to use your brokenness, and that's what Gethsemane means, the crushing. He's going to use the things that have not been easy. And they're a little bit like climbing Mount Rainier. You're now going from one pretty high level to the next level up on where he wants you to go. And just the excitement of what he's going to teach teach you and show you in his love. He doesn't want to break you. He's not messing with us, not at any age. He's not trying to have us be disappointed and be discouraged. And that's why he says the funny phrase, it's over and over in Scripture to Joshua. I was just reading, fear not. That's kind of hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Be of good
You know what I mean?
courage and
I read it, and I don't always have done, not
Mm-hmm.
always have done it. But if you just know you're going to be with me, I'm going to just trust you. This is going to be a good experience.
Can I ask when you were most fearful?
Wow, boy, it's more than once probably. At my grandmother's funeral, when my voice quit on me for the first time, I was like, "What? What just happened?" You know, because I
How old
loved
were
her.
you?
I was probably 14, but I just remember I thought I let her down, but all my family came around and said, "You didn't." It was her favorite song. Blah blah blah. It's sometimes hard to sing when you're under that kind of. I learned that.
Yeah.
You know, but the biggest fear, I suppose, it was a Metropolitan Opera because it's such a big stage that by the time you get to the middle of it and you're standing and looking at, I think they said the broadcast had 14 million people listening.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I walked to the middle of the stage and I remember practicing just the walking out to the middle of the stage. You may have to, I don't know if that'll help you, but basically then I knew how many steps it was and I wasn't out of breath because you got to sing with some breath and so I had to learn to kind of calm it down. And then 50% of singing, I really believe in a lot of performance and maybe even our talking about our Lord is letting him work through us. And we don't have to force it. We don't have to force our performance, but that I was pretty frightened. But each of those are experiences where you get stronger. I'm pretty sure David was afraid of Goliath, but God had shown him, you can do this. You don't have to dress up like a soldier even. Can you imagine what David must have felt like? He just walked out there and Goliath said, I'm a dog? You come out here with a stick at me? But the Goliath stopped taunting after a little bit because God is preparing you. If you see that it says in the Word, for I have plans for you. Plans to prosper, and that verse. But I love the beginning. I have plans for Olivia. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you say, well, what are they? I don't know. If we knew all of our life story in front of us, I would have probably messed it up.
When has God surprised you?
So many times the last 2 or 3 years. He surprised me when he said, no, I thought my natural gifts were these, and he said none of the above. And I started working I have one client he could use your speech pathology. He really does have cerebral palsy. He really cannot speak. He talks with his eyes and only with his eyes. And it's so amazing. He's got so much love. But I mean, God took me in adventures, even fairly late. He surprised me by saying, I want you to work with those that are in the homeless in Seattle ranks, that these young people are so addicted, but when they're ready to get out, and if they would like a faith-based walk, there's a place called New Heart Men's Home and New Heart Women's Home for those that are ready. And I have seen miracle after miracle.
And you started work. This is not your.
This is recent.
Not your personal background.
No, I had I was not personally addicted.
Right.
I had other than to pride, which is it's a real danger. Pride,
Yeah.
if pride sneaks up on you and fills you up, it's not good. But when he showed me, and I had to say, every time I encountered some of these young men that I work with, there's 5 or 6 of them, he had to teach me every little bit of it. But he says, learn of me, and you can take him up on that. You can say, just teach me that. Teach me how to go to be a freshman for you at the new college. Teach me how to help others. That's probably the key. He's going to give you, if a mission field or in a school or in your ministry here, he's going to give you the love you need. It'll come through you and be for someone else that you maybe don't least expect it.
Well, it sounds like this openness, Olivia, of saying, like these open hands of saying, God, I'm on this adventure with you, and you have the map, and I don't. So I'm trusting you to go on this journey with you. That's what it sounds like. I think on this journey, I heard were you one of the girls? There was a lot of girls who said, I want to be married early on this journey. I know that with kids.
I didn't say it, but I do.
Wait a minute. No. Are you the one with the German Shepherd?
I'm not.
You're not the German Shepherd girl.
I'm not.
Okay, you're not the. Okay, there was a German Shepherd girl.
That's okay.
There was a girl.
You know what? I wish I had a German Shepherd. So.
No, there was a girl who had it mapped out like 2 kids and a German Shepherd, and I said, "That's not you."
Oh wait, no, that was me.
Okay.
I do want a German Shepherd. I just don't have one now.
No, I thought there was a girl that was mapped out who you had. Didn't you have?
Yep.
Yeah, that's in your.
Yeah,
that's in the plan, right?
That's in the plan.
That's in the plan.
The hope.
Okay. All right. That's the hope. Okay. So the German Shepherd's in the hope. Okay. So lastly, because you and your wife, Mike, 50 years? Yes?
Not quite.
Not quite. Almost 50 years. Okay. So I'm going to ask you. You said she saw you up on that stage and she wasn't quite sold yet. So I'm going to ask you about a successful marriage, just so that she can hear about that. And then I'm going to ask you what Olivia should be looking for, maybe there at the college, or maybe she shouldn't be looking at all. Maybe she should just be doing stuff and just let God just make it happen for her. Just give her a little bit of that, since that's a goal of hers, and we'll let the German Shepherd find its way later.
I think God maybe gives you more than one German Shepherd. I'm not sure.
How did you know your wife was the one?
Wow. Again, I was a little slow in learning. I was slow in hearing him at first. I just realized that he had put in my heart I couldn't live without her, and I still can't.
Okay.
It's just that spectacular.
Before I wrap it up, Olivia, any questions you have for Mike? I want to open that up for you.
I'm wondering, when you went to college, was there something that you were able to just immediately connect with, like musically or performance-wise, whether it was like immediately joining like a club or a choir? Was there something that like helped you get integrated into that college field that just like you brought over from high school into college?
The thing I noticed, and you'll see in your first freshman music class, is you'll find somebody or a couple of people, maybe more, that are both, they have strong faith, but they're on a whole other level serious about their music. Mm-hmm. And you just will find it so easy to bond with them. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was a kid in the row before me, my very first class, and his name was my last name too, and I was saying, does anybody ask you if you have a car dealership? And he said, yeah, and my dad is the car dealership of that happened to be that last name. And so, but it was, you had so much in common. Because a lot of the people choosing that school you're going to are more on your same page than maybe even your high school friends, because you're pretty diverse. But it narrows down after you've chosen the major, and especially like in the music courses, the choir, you're going to find some good friends. And you'll turn to them and go, wow, what's your background? And their talent level, it's a little bit like sports. There's levels of talent in the music, and you're going to see they're so serious, and they're going to be so fun to sing with, and you're also going to sit back and go, wow, they're good. I better hurry.
Then it prods you. That's what I love.
That's it. Yeah.
That's super exciting. Any other questions?
Probably the last one would be like, I think especially my generation throughout high school, sometimes theater and choir can come off as a little bit of a cliche. There can be some students that just don't view it the same way as we do, and they might think that it's not worth the time or just something like that. So I'm curious, was it like that when you were in high school? And how did you kind of deal with that and push past that and like not let that kind of defeat your spirit?
Students that are in it, or students from
that
the
are outside of it, their viewpoint of it.
Yep.
Maybe they're jealous. I do not know. But I know that even when David, we were talking about him, when his brother said, what are you doing around here? Why are you here? The questions were kind of rude. It didn't sound like a loving family. All I'm saying, it may be more like real life. Yeah. But they feel like they want to bring you down a peg. And it's a huge test. And how to look at them in love when they've just kind of insulted what you're doing. As you're exploring a wide world of emotions, the Bible's so full of emotions. I believe the theater itself can look at The Chosen and various. We're not going to exhaust all the possibilities of exploring God's Word in theater and in song. And so, good for you to have the courage to just look at them and smile.
I am now, before we end, I want to hand you a card, I hand you a pen, and Mike is going to give you one nugget of wisdom.
Okay.
This is going to go with Olivia everywhere she goes. She's going to have it on her wedding day. She's going to have it when she's having her first child. She's going to have it after the baby shower for her third child. She's going to have it when they pick up their fourth German Shepherd. She's going to have it. This nugget of wisdom is going to carry her through life. No pressure. What is that nugget of wisdom that you want to give her that she needs to remember through life? She's going to write it down, then you're going to sign it and date it, and she's going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Follow Jesus' light. When you hear the scoffer, you know that there's dark. Something is mixed up. It's a little chaotic. There's a simplicity in music and in following Jesus' light. And I feel like you're doing it already. I approve of every choice you've made, and I'm not your grandfather. But I know your mama is proud of you, and others are proud of you. And they're also praying for you. And don't misunderstand the power of that. That to 1,000 generations, he sees their heart loves you, and he loves you too.
Follow Jesus' light. I love that. Mike, I'm going to ask you to sign that card. She's going to date it, and she's going to take that to college with her, and that's going to remind her to follow Jesus' light. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone who is listening to this episode of From the Eyes of Wisdom. We will talk to you next time.